ChatGPT 5 is here since yesterday, I think.
We're one step closer to AGI. Hey Ryan, just myself and yourself this week.
How are we, Keane? All good? All recovered from the weekend?
Yeah, Mark is off gallivanting. I believe he's just doing some housework.
It's on holidays in the garden, I think, from what I heard.
So it has to be done. Probably happy out there. But yeah, look, we'll dig into things this week. I know myself and yourself are. I don't know about you, but I'm only back in the mental seat after that concert and a concert
Yeah,
festival.
it's been a long old week now, right? Trying to get back
I know,
into
I
the
can't wait for
swing
the
of things.
weekend. I know.
But we've been powering through. It was a
Powering
nice
through.
short week, at least, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it wasn't fairness. What we got going on? Okay, so news and algorithm updates. This one was actually, I had a few clients reach out about this one and seeing if there was anything we could do to utilize it, and if there was anything that we've shared or used that might be in search. But no, we haven't made any of these for a short period there. ChatGPT actually had this. If you went to share a link, it said make chat discoverable in search results, which means it would show up in search engines and Google, which a lot of people were freaking out over in case there was any personal information. Like a lot of people have been using ChatGPT to upload their finances to work out stuff. So having something like this in play is definitely risky, but yeah, it seems to have been removed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But they tested it, but they've taken it down again. Will they bring it back when people have more insight over it or have more control? Maybe, but the whole place panicked for a bit. I was, as an SEO, I was just looking at opportunities. Oh, maybe we can just do a load of publishing on ChatGPT and like a bit of parasite SEO where you can put in your brand, write how great you are, and say you're the best SEO in Ireland, or your client is the best solicitor in
Yeah.
X, and then ChatGPT would just start agreeing with it and picking up on it. But yeah, look, it was short lived. But yeah, there's something in the news.
So this one, so I was just reading about this morning. So Google cautions businesses against generic keyword domains. So I just thought this was interesting because I think, as I'm obviously new to this, like some of the things I've heard are like it's good to have a very clear domain name that's very close to the thing you're advertising or pushing. But I suppose this kind of I'll just read out this quote here. So he says, I see a lot of small businesses make the mistake of taking a generic term and calling it their brand. So it might seem like a very good idea, but it might make you kind of very hard to find, can make you kind of lost amongst
I
like
don't
the,
know. It's working. It's
yeah,
working for people. Like, have you ever seen restaurants? It's like restaurants near or food near
oh,
me or
oh, it's for
restaurant near
me.
me.ie.
Yeah.
And like, that's an example. But even in SEO, like I was doing quite well in some of my organic terms, like SEO agency or whatever. But now I started noticing that like someone bought like SEO agency Dublin.ie and pro SEO or SEO in Waterford.ie. They're actually working because Google's whole thing is they want brand names. So if you can build an exact match domain to match your brand, it might not make you stand out in the grand scheme of things, and it might be bad from a personal branding point of view or company branding point of view, but from a search engine point of view, if someone's looking for a brand and that's your brand, and they're going to give you the top areas. So it's working for people.
Do you think it's a bit of scaremongering so that he's kind of saying this, or is it?
I would be. No, I get where he's coming from. Like if it's a brand name, like you know, would Nike be where it is today if it's bought by runnersonline.com?
Yeah,
Like there is use cases for it, but and to take advantage of search engines, and it's definitely still a tactic, and it works. It definitely
yeah.
works. But a lot of companies, what they do is they'll have their main brand, but they're buying smaller domains like SEO agency, but they have their real website as well. But they're just piggybacking on the search term. Smart move. And to be honest, and
Yeah,
the only thing is, it's probably creating making them look like a personal blog network where they have all these links coming from these smaller domains. But look, I think it's a genuine tactic that's working. But yeah, you can understand why they don't want you doing it.
yeah,
PMAX side of things, yeah. Look, this PMAX has come in with some new controls, reporting, creative insights. I'm happy for it, to be honest, because like a lot of our clients are using PMAX, relying on the AI side of things, and they're working very well. Some are working a little bit too well, where it's coming up, and the reason it's working well is because it's showing up under brand search, and it's great that they have these new negative keyword lists where you can exclude your brand from showing. That's something that they didn't really have in the past, and it's great that that's there now, because now your PMAX can be just new acquisition rather than people that know your brand straight in and out. And I'm also happier that the fact that there's going to be a bit more visibility on performance data like clicks, conversions, and spend, because having a look and seeing where the conversions are coming from is actually quite difficult with PMAX. So it's great that they're taking that on board.
so yeah, this Cloudflare one. So Cloudflare delists and blocks Perplexity from crawling websites. So apparently there was a lot of user complaints against Perplexity related to violations of robots TXT protocols, and some kind of sketchy, aggressive rogue bot tactics it was using to force its
I
crawlers onto
heard this.
websites.
I believe they changed their, like, usually a bot would have a certain name on it, like Perplexity bot or whatever.
Yeah.
But they've been changing the names of them and changing the IPs,
Okay.
where the crawlers are coming from, because like their whole business will rely on that.
Yeah, I just thought this one sounded so sinister.
Yeah, it's when it doesn't respect a robots.txt, that's not good.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't even know that that was a thing it could do, like that you could not respect the robots TXT. I thought it was something that it wouldn't allow it.
you see, if you have on a full disallow, I think it'd still do it. But say their bot was, I don't know, Perplex bot or whatever, right? I can't even think of it, the name my top of my head, what the actual name is. But Perplex bot, and you have disallow that bot. What they were doing is, I believe, it might be changing the name or change the IP of the bot and not
Okay.
respecting it. So, yeah, it seems to be a bit of hot water here between Cloudflare and Perplexity, where they're each accusing each other of bad tactics.
Yeah.
Um, Depending on what side of the fence you stand on, I suppose. But
They seem to always be in the news, Cloudflare. I feel like we've kind of talked, they've came up a few weeks for us now.
yeah, well, it's not surprising, because like they're, as I said, that web one where they're going to charge AI to learn from your content. They're trying to, in fairness to Cloudflare, they are on the web designer side of the house, or the publisher side of the house, rather than the AI side. So they're saying, you can control all this with us, and it must be beneficial.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, the deep dive.
yeah, ChatGPT 5 is here since yesterday, I think.
We're one step closer to AGI.
What's that goes? What number of ChatGPT will that be under?
They reckon 7.
7.
I don't know.
That's eerily close.
I know, but yeah, like you've put in a list here of all the differences. I've only been playing around with it a little bit today. I've actually noticed that the answers been a little bit better. Definitely, some of the citations I've asked for, and um,
But yeah, well, I list off just quickly some of the things that it's saying it's better at. So it's supposed to be smarter and more accurate. I started watching the Sam Altman video, the hour long kind of the keynote presentation, but I think he described the older ones as like talking to a high school student, and this now one is like talking to a PhD graduate or whatever. Like, that apparently the level has gone up. But so smarter and more accurate, deeper thinking. It's got a bigger context window, enhanced coding, expressive writing, improved health answers was a big one. I saw that keep coming up in articles. Reduced hallucinations as always. There's more personalization. There's a study mode now for step by step kind of helpful learning.
okay, that
Um,
might be handy.
yeah, that was the first time I kind of saw that. That seemed like a cool one. And then a lot of connectors, so you can now kind of connect to a lot of things like Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Drive, and stuff. That sounds like something that'd be very important to businesses. I'm thinking like if you can connected to a Google Drive, and it'll still respect different permissions, kind of, and what to use and what not to use. And then one that I thought was funny is it says in one article, they said it would be less effusively agreeable. So the model is described as being less prone to using unnecessary emojis, which I feel like is very necessary. There was a lot of emojis before.
There is a lot of emojis. If you're not asking for them, don't put them in there, because that's always, imagine how much that's cost. Like I remember Sam Altman said that people saying thank you to AI bots was costing them like millions. Can you imagine how much people say, okay, can you take those emojis out of that content, please?
Yeah, yeah,
Probably the same thing. But yeah, look, interesting to see where ChatGPT 5 is going to go. That's it's a good. It looks nice. I saw they had a new skin on it.
yeah. Just a little
Um,
bit of a colorway.
I reckon they'll be doing that for most of them now. But yeah, I don't know if I have to look at the custom GPTs. Are they going to be better? There's so much we have to look into it. But yeah, look, ChatGPT here 5 is here. Marketing tip of the week. This one comes from what? One thing I've noticed is a lot of people will create, and a lot of companies will create blog posts. But really, one of the best things you could do is take that blog post and repurpose it into smaller captions and repurpose it as an Instagram post. And to be fair, if you have a blog post, you could probably pick out a couple of topics or a couple of sections and turn them into three blog posts or three Instagram posts over a period of time. You don't just have to publish it once and not promote it. You can probably take multiple social media posts from that, and you can even turn it into audio files, upload it to YouTube, put it into TikTok. But yeah, repurposing your content is an important part, because not only does it help promote back to that blog post, but it also helps get you kind of we're going to call it search everywhere optimization, where you're trying to optimize for all the different platforms, not just one anymore. So that'd be my marketing tip of the week. Do not forget to repurpose.
Very nice. So a bit of a shallow dive of the week. Then I saw this article, and again, this could be a very big deal for all I know, or maybe it's not. But Bing apparently have been testing moving the tabs bar under the search, so the same kind of search tabs that Google have. They've been testing moving that above the search bar. So I tried it on my own one, and it's not there yet, but apparently it's been tested some places. So moving that above the search bar, I don't know, are they expecting some crazy results from that, or what the outcome will be? But
Yeah,
I found an
more
article.
people will use Bing now.
Yeah, maybe so. That bloody tabs bar that's been below all the time, but maybe it'll make some sort of difference. I'd love to know the thinking behind it. Um, but yeah, I
Okay.
just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
A couple of trends of the week then. So obviously GPT-5, ChatGPT 5 is trending. And then I just thought it was funny. There's another storm trending this week. So we had another one last week that never really came to fruition. But I think it was Flores last week, and we've got Dexter now this week. So I think just going forward, expect a storm trending every week.
What was it last week?
I think it was Flores, Storm Flores.
Aren't they meant to go in alphabetical order?
That's a good point, yeah.
Isn't it meant to be like C and then D?
You're right, actually. I thought that was the case, but I think it was Flores last week. Unless that was something else completely now.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
I just thought it was alphabetical, because I remember. Yeah, they always, and I didn't know it was every year it restarted from scratch.
yeah. Actually, yeah. I don't know. That's a good question.
I won't see many Z's. But yeah, look, we're becoming a weather report, as you said.
And then helpful tool of the week. So I just threw in this one, Riverside. So that's what we use to make this little podcast. So I've been using this a lot now recently for the editing and kind of making the clips. But it's such a useful tool, I think, for this sort of thing. If anyone was getting into this sort of long form kind of video content, and the best thing about it is there's an AI in it that makes clips for you, or it begins them anyway, and you can kind of tailor them then. But it'll cut like minute long clips out of the videos and stuff, and kind of start you off and making little reels and stuff, and it'll export them to the right dimensions, the right aspect ratio, and stuff like that. It
Yeah,
also
yeah. The connectors are great there as well, because I believe you can. This hooks up to Spotify as well and YouTube if you wanted to, where you can publish directly from here instead of
yeah, so
downloading and uploading. That's very good.
it's really good in fairness, and like even with the captions as well, it transcribes it all. Now there's a few mistakes sometimes, but the transcription is usually perfect. Like, and you can export your subtitles document from it for YouTube and stuff. It has like
I like the
all of,
brand features. Brand
yeah,
features
and the
are class.
brand stuff. Yeah, it's kind of everything you need without all of the maybe confusing stuff in other video editing softwares. So it takes all the kind of difficult stuff away and literally leaves just what you need. You can add music and all that. And as well, we had like a small issue with them during the week, with something like a video not uploading, and I got onto like the support people, and they were so quick to respond and stuff. So it's been
Did they say what it was, or they just sorted it?
they just sorted it. It was like we couldn't upload, our video wasn't uploading. It was like stuck at 99%, and I sent them like the ID. So every recording has an ID number. Sent them to that, and they just fixed it on their end. In fairness,
Oh,
so
yeah,
I didn't even have
brilliant.
to fix it myself. So they were so quick. So now there was a mistake. There was something not working, but I mean they fixed it so quickly. So I thought that was good.
Look, if support gets back to you, you have to give it to a tool that's great. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
So no, that's a good one we've been using.
All right.
So
So
ask
nice, quick
expert.
one. We're on to the experts.
I should have said expert this time.
Experts. You'll be answering these yourself now, Ryan, at some point.
The tables will never turn on this one. So we'll start off with our first one. So, how do you see the balance between technical SEO and content strategy shifting?
Uh, well, I know for one thing at the moment, the AI is the massive fad at the moment that everyone is speaking about. And no matter what happens, we come back to it. Everyone's on about content, how we can produce more content at scale, without being programmatic or triggering any not penalizations from Google, but being flagged for creating too much all of a sudden. But natural use of AI editing, definitely seeing more people want to produce more content to show up in different search results, and they're trying to do it so that they format certain ways so that they show up in the AI overviews. But the balance, and it's shifting more towards content strategy, but people are forgetting that the technical SEO is extremely important for you to get into those search results. Because if your site's not fast, if things aren't working, if your images are too large, if your JavaScript isn't rendering properly, like all these things have a massive impact. But yeah, there's definitely more of a shift towards the content because it's easier to do, and it's now more cost effective to do because of AI. It's just people have to get very good at editing. But yeah, that's the big shift that I can see anyway.
Yeah, but needing the technical SEO is never going to go away. Like you kind of that's always
No, no. At some point, maybe in the future, what will happen with technical SEO, just like we're seeing with a couple of web designs, where like if you're using programs like is it Replicate and Lovable, where you're able to speak to your website and get it to code it. So it's like you're speaking your website alive rather than coding from scratch. Maybe the same thing will happen with technical SEO, where you can communicate WordPress and say, "Oh, this is your can you minify my JS, my JavaScript?" And eventually, someday that might happen. But look, not yet. But that's where we're probably going to go.
yeah. Right. So, how do you prioritize technical SEO fixes versus content improvements for a site? So maybe at the beginning, maybe a new client. What's kind of the
Well,
first one?
look, there's technical SEO where there's like ongoing work, which might be optimizing images and things like that, right? Now that might be very important for page load, but the most important technical SEO fixes that you can have in place is checking your robots.txt to make sure that the website is crawlable and there's no issues with rendering. Search engines can crawl it and index it. The other one is making sure your sitemap is in place and making sure that there's a no index tag isn't on the website again, so search engines can crawl it. It's like those are your like three top level important fixes. But generally, content is what's going to make your site grow a lot faster. So once we have some of those technical bits in place, we always look and see, well, where's the best ROI and our quickest win so that clients are happier. So quick wins can be massive, where you can put in local based content. But yeah, we always try and do those first bits, and then anything that can be done on an optimization level afterwards is not going to impact overall search, is where we come into later. As I said, making sure the core vitals and all that kind of stuff are in place, but that's not our first protocol. Generally, we'll just make sure everything's crawlable. There's no issues from that point of view. The code is clean, and there's never been any history of penalizations or hacking that's gone on the website that Google has flagged. And then we focus on, right, let's get the content in place that's going to get the best result as quickly as possible. That's where we kind of see. But yeah, that's how we take our approach to it. Just the essentials, making sure the content's there, because if you don't have good content, your website's not going to rank.
Right. Is internal linking underrated or overhyped?
I personally believe it is underrated massively by a lot of people. Internal linking, okay, external linking is extremely important because it helps build your authority, but internal linking is what helps you and search engines communicate your best content on a site. It helps people find the important page you want to get to. It helps build authority. If we mention, I don't know, let's say we have an SEO checklist on our website and we want to push people towards that and we want to rank in Google under, well, the more we can mention that, maybe by placing it in a menu, maybe by having it in a footer, but also by internally linking in the body where we have our anchor text in place. It helps Google understand that these are the pages that are about a specific topic. So if we had, we want to rank under, I don't know, SEO in Cork, we make sure that we have our internal link to SEO agency Cork in as many places as possible, because that might separate us out from ranking under SEO agency Ireland. Right? So the internal linking, I personally believe, is totally underrated. And it's something that when websites really get a hold and start building a content strategy, that they're building content to help with the internal links in mind. That's a massive thing. So underrated.
Okay. Very clear answer there. So,
Yeah.
um, right. What type of content should I produce for SEO?
Look, there's the way we approach content is we have different journeys for different users, but I think looking at some of the keyword research tools like SEMrush, they kind of narrow it down to certain ones, which is informational, commercial, transactional, and navigational. So informational is like your top funnel content. So it's people who are looking for a specific, they don't know about your brand yet, and this is where you're kind of bringing them into yourself, which might be something like, best food for large breed puppies, right? I'm using an analogy here of a dog food or a pet shop, right? Now that's informational, but an informational person, they might not be ready to buy yet, but they're in the market and they're thinking that their dog needs the right thing. That's informational. And then all of a sudden that customer knows that you exist, right? Now, how do you go down the food chain? So commercial might be dog reviews, dog food reviews, where they might just look at different things like that. And then your transactional might be buy dog food online. So that's where your product, your categories are coming into place as well, where you're trying to rank under those things. And your navigational then is kind of people who are looking for your store name and dog food. So, or store name and dog food deals where they're looking for discounts. You could actually put in the store name and reviews or coupon codes, and they're navigational ones where people are looking for your brand and a specific area, and you're trying to cut down on uh, the user experience of getting that click. So, like the dog food, you have your dog food page, you put them there, they have their discount or their buy now on that particular section. But a lot of where a huge amount of traffic comes onto the websites is from the informational based stuff. But commercial and transactional are the ones that our clients usually want the most, because they're the ones that see the best ROI straight away. Well, not straight away, but over time. But they're the ones where the intent is to buy. The other ones, the intent is to just research or get information. But those two are the ones we find are the best. But yeah, that's where we kind of produce content. Now, for an SEO agency, a lot of the time is we're trying to create informational based stuff, because commercial and transactional ones generally are a lot more competitive and take a while to build up into there. But if you have enough informational content where you're building your internal links and you're getting external links because you're creating really good content that helps users, then it all benefits. But that's how we look at the content side of things.
Okay. So, how do you come up with ideas for blog content then?
Blog content ideas? Yeah, look, competitive research. If you have competitors in your market and they're ranking in Google and you know they're growing, it's always a great idea to have a quick look and get a head start and see what they're doing. It's the easiest way to see what's working, because if you notice they're putting a huge amount of effort into it, if you notice that they're constantly blogging about a certain topic and they're building their internal links to those topics, you know that they're putting a bit of effort into it. It's generally a good place to start. People also ask, so if you go to Google search results and you type in, what's the best dog food, you might see that people also ask, what's the best dog food for small puppies, for golden retrievers, for gun dogs, right? There might be specific questions you can ask in there. Most recently, look, it's probably where everyone should start their journey now is the AI, because like people have asked these questions and AI gets it quite right. Like a lot of the time, I'll just go to ChatGPT or Gemini and say, this is my client. They're in this niche. Here are three competitors. Look, we're looking to generate, I suppose, a content calendar for them. Can you give us some suggestions of blog articles that could work? It's not always the best, but it's a great start. And if you ever have writer's block where you're trying to figure out if something's working, it's a great way to get started. Um, some of the best things you can do is look at customer feedback as well. So if you're customer service where you're constantly getting asked questions, that can be a great way to build up internal stuff. Google Trends, as you can see where you're going on there, is a great way to see trending topics around a particular niche, and a lot of people won't bother doing it. Keyword research tools, always a very big one. So Ahrefs, your Google Keyword Planner, which is free, and your maybe SEMrush or SEMrush. Those are good ones because you actually get volumes around it, and the user experience in those ones is quite good as well for having a look at ideas. Forums are always a great place to start as well. So looking at Reddit, Quora, Facebook groups, having a look and see what topics are around or what questions or what blog articles being created around your topic. They're a great place to start as well. But they're the ones that we come up with that's our go-to list, really.
Honestly. So then we'll just finish on this one. I thought I'd put in a fun one at the end. So, what's the weirdest SEO tactic you've seen actually work,
Um,
even if it was just once?
do you know what? Some black hat tactics actually do work. Where we mentioned that their website was a white background and they've gone and added in loads of content with white font. That actually had worked in the past. They've keyword stuffed the hell out of things and it's worked. Uh, the weirdest SEO tactic, there's a very good SEO called Kyle Roof. Uh, I can't remember the name of his company now, but he's on a lot of podcasts. But he did a particular test around an SEO competition in rhinoplasty. I might have talked to you about this one before,
Oh
but
yeah.
their goal was to try and rank in Texas in an SEO competition under rhinoplasty, which is like nose jobs basically in Texas or Austin or something like that. And he got it ranking under lorem ipsum text. So they put lorem ipsum text. He basically said, search engine machines, let's treat it as such, where they put in lorem ipsum text, but they put in a couple of keywords in between the text, and he went and he built a load of Web 2.0 links on things like Dig and Delicious, and got links back to the site to build it up, and all the social ones. But yeah, he got a ranking, but that was the weirdest one I've seen. Definitely, but yeah, I think he got in a lot of trouble from search engines from that. I
Yeah,
believe.
that's not advice, so is it?
No, it wouldn't be something that I'd be using. Weird tactics nowadays that could actually work. Parasite SEO would be quite. I don't know if you call it a weird tactic, but it's up there. Parasite SEO is where you'd piggyback on other domains to try and build up your own domain, or at least help with your traffic a bit. So, Parasite SEO might be if I had access to Harvard, which is a really like popular domain, and I had a forum post there. I was able to create a post on there on a forum, get a ranking in Google search, but it actually points back to my website or my affiliate product. That's Parasite
Okay.
SEO. you're piggyback on the authority of other domains. Like people nowadays, SEOs are doing a lot of LinkedIn posts, and that in some ways is a parasite SEO where instead of using your own website to rank, you're using the power of LinkedIn to try and show up in search engines and get more traffic that way. It's the same with medium.com.
Okay,
But
I get you.
there's some weird ones.
Very good.
And that is us done. So quick one this week that Mark jabbering on constantly. It'd be nice to see Mark again. I hope he's had a nice week off. But yeah, great great
Good
catch up,
episode.
Ryan. And we'll chat next week.
Sounds good. Cheers,
Yeah.
Kane.
Bye bye.